I used to see him mostly in Sydney, around sort of Circular Quay and George Street, although I know his sort of main stamping ground was sort of Arncliffe.
I first noticed him because he would always be standing outside his block of apartments in Arncliffe, which is, I think, where a lot of people first noticed him.
I used to see him when in my traveling, I used to see him in the morning. Regardless if he was raining or not, he would walk up and down Princess Highway and Forest Road.
Well, he used to go out around 7 or 8 in the morning, and obviously you'd have to come in for refreshments. He used to come in, go out 5 times a day with his signs on the highway. He used to walk up to Forest Road with his signs. Even when he went to the supermarket, he would put his signs around his neck.
He used to come weekly into my store doing his own shopping. He never talked much. We used to have a stroller with him, which he put all his shopping in it. He came across to me as a very educated and intelligent person. Forget the way he was dressed and how he looked, which means nothing. When you start talking to him, I find him to be a very intelligent person. The way he had the sign in front of him made of cardboard and at his back. In his unit where he used to live, there was a sign on the door, the same thing. He wanted to put a point across, and people were curious.
Look, in the late 80s and the early 90s, I was very much into street photography, using black and white film. And one day I came upon Alan at Circular Quay, and I was quite intrigued by him, and I had a short conversation with him and took some photographs of him. And those photographs ended up in the State Library of New South Wales. Whilst he obviously had a street presence and he was often on the street, he was not what is loosely called a street person. He appeared to be in pretty good shape. He was dressed quite nicely. He wasn't a floridly crazy person that you kind of shy away from.
So he'd stand there with his sign and his lab glasses, and he was very dedicated to standing in this one position. And so his dedication appealed to me, and also the strangeness of his message, UFO chariots of Isaiah is quite an odd message.
No matter what your religious beliefs or your level of skepticism or whatever, that is a terrific image, this image of Jesus in a flying saucer.
Perhaps also because he, as far as I know, isn't particularly talkative, really. I think that always adds an air of mystique to people.
Although he was obviously trying to get a message across to people, because he had his billboard front and back, and he was giving out leaflets, and in fact gave me one, he was remarkably reticent to speak about what he was trying to do, and I found that quite intriguing.
He was sort of a silent sort of messenger, I suppose, and I think that's what sort of people found intriguing. And then, of course, people want to know what his story is, what his sort of real beliefs are, and so on. So he sort of starts a conversation among people.
Well, I have many theories, such as who passed this information on to him years ago. Like, is it post-traumatic stress disorder, or he never actually told me where he got this idea from.
Philp was a man who had a vision of apparently a UFO in 1961, then linked that to his religious beliefs, then wanted to get that word out to the world, thought it was important that everyone heard that message and set about doing it in his own way.
Yeah, he was very incoherent, and also he was affected by the war. I think maybe as a soldier, he needed to find something to work for. Maybe he found that in these signs.
I loved his signs, his multicoloured, like penciled signs. I thought they were actually really quite nicely decorated and designed and so on.
It's basically his family that gave me the signs. They said, we don't want them. Yeah, but it's only 2 signs. He had like 10 signs.
I seem to think I actually found it in Newtown or somewhere like that. It wasn't in the city. And I don't know what the word is. I sort of maybe stole it, or justified it to myself as saving it from, probably getting defaced and destroyed, which I'm sure it would have been.
I suspected at the time that he probably had received a fair bit of abuse from people and was a little bit standoffish because of that, and preferred just to hand people his leaflet and let them read it for themselves if they wished, rather than engaging in some sort of debate with people.
No, people weren't forgiving. They threw objects at him, which is assault in the eyes of the law. And he has the right to have freedom of expression, but he did cop a lot of abuse for his cause.
I think that there are always some people in any society who are going to be fearful of somebody who has a message that they don't understand.
There are a lot of other people who resent him or are jealous of him, but the people that do are interested in him and do respect him are quite interested in his life.
The last time I went past his apartment in Arncliffe, the signs that are usually in the windows of his apartment, which is sort of behind where he stands, weren't there anymore, and I haven't seen him for years.
I made a few inquiries because I like to know what's happened to my customer, and I got told.
He had a fall and he went to a nursing home. A neighbour told me, I can't remember which neighbour, but I was saddened by the news because I knew he would probably die from his injuries.
I don't think he had many friends, but he'll be missed because everybody used to talk about him, good and bad.
And every taxi driver, every person I've talked to has said, where is he now? What's he doing? And when he was here, he getting questions asked of him all the time.
It could be that we're such a busy, fast, impatient society now that we don't have the time or the inclination to listen or notice people like Alan.
There are too many greedy people out there, and Alan was doing what he believed in, even though it was probably crazy in many people's eyes, but I don't think so.
I think it's a very healthy sign about a society that we have people like Alan in our society, and that they can freely go around unhampered, delivering whatever message it is that they have, no matter how crazy it is.
So he has to be known out there, whether he's living or dying. This has to be out there for people to explore the truth.
Well, I find my preferences are not heeded to by any power as a rule. I find myself in this situation and I make the best of it.